You have been told that more exercise is better. More hours, more calories burned, more time on the machine. And for most health goals, that is reasonable advice. But for autophagy, the cellular recycling system that determines how fast your body ages from the inside, more is not the answer. The right type is. Here is the number that changes this conversation: 20 minutes. 20 minutes of one specific exercise type activates autophagy more powerfully than 60 minutes of the type most people do every day. Not slightly more, 3 times more. And the difference has nothing to do with how hard you push. It has everything to do with the molecular signal your cells receive. Before we go further, 3 questions. Do you currently do more than 45 minutes of steady cardio most days of the week? Do you avoid heavy lifting because you have heard that it activates AMPK and shuts autophagy down? Do you finish your workouts and wonder why your body still feels like it is not fully recovering? If any of those is yes, your exercise protocol has a blind spot, and it is costing you the window. In this video, I am mapping 3 exercise types against autophagy biology. Exactly what each one does at the molecular level and how long the signal lasts. Type 1 is the one you are probably already doing. Type 2 is where the 20-minute number comes from. And Type 3 activates AMPK. And that is precisely why it is on this list. Every time you exercise, your muscles consume ATP, adenosine triphosphate, your body's primary energy currency. And as that ATP gets used up, the ratio of AMP to ATP inside your cells begins to rise. That rising ratio is a distress signal. Your cells read it as an energy emergency, and the protein that responds to that emergency is called AMPK, AMP-activated protein kinase. AMPK is your body's cellular fuel sensor. When energy drops, AMPK activates. And when AMPK activates, it does 2 things at the same time. First, it phosphorylates ULK1, the initiating protein of the autophagy cascade. The same ULK1 that every food in our last video was working to activate. The switch turns on, autophagy begins. Second, AMPK simultaneously suppresses AMPK, the growth sensor that keeps autophagy locked off. When your body believes resources are abundant, NTOR goes down, ULK1 goes up, both switches, moving in the right direction at the same time in under 20 minutes of sustained effort. But exercise adds one more signal that food alone cannot generate. When you push hard enough, your muscles produce a controlled burst of reactive oxygen species, ROS. Not enough to cause damage, exactly enough to trigger mitophagy, the targeted clearance of your damaged mitochondria, your energy factories getting replaced from the inside. This is the biological engine behind all 3 exercise types we are about to cover. The question is not whether exercise activates autophagy. The question is by how much. And that answer changes completely depending on which type you choose. Exercise type 1 is the one most people in this audience are already doing. Walking, light jogging, cycling at a comfortable pace, swimming at steady rhythm. Anything that keeps your heart rate between 60 and 70% of your maximum. This is Zone 2 cardio, and the research on it is real. It works. Here is how. Sustained moderate exercise creates a slow, steady depletion of ATP, not the dramatic crash of a sprint, a gradual drawdown. Over 20, 30, 45 minutes, that gradual depletion is enough to trigger AMPK. AMPK activates. ULK1 gets phosphorylated, autophagy initiates, and at 3 hours after a Zone 2 session, researchers measured the LC32 to LC31 ratio at approximately 49% above baseline. 49%, that is not a small number. That is a meaningful, measurable, real-world autophagy signal. So why is Zone 2 not the end of this story? Because 49% is also the ceiling. Here is what Zone 2 does not generate. It does not produce a significant roast burst, so mitophagy stays minimal. It does not produce meaningful lactate accumulation. So the secondary autophagy signal we will cover in type 2 never fires, and during sustained moderate exercise. mTOR does not stay suppressed, it partially recovers while you are still moving, which means autophagy is activating on one side of the equation, while mTOR is quietly pushing back on the other. Think of Zone 2 as the maintenance crew that shows up every morning, reliable, consistent, essential. They keep the system running, they prevent major breakdowns. But they do not have the equipment for deep renovation work. For that, you need a different signal entirely. The practical anchor for Zone 2 is this: 30 to 45 minutes daily if possible, preferably in the morning before your first meal. When fasting AMPK and exercise AMPK stack together into a single stronger signal, Zone 2 is not optional. It is the foundation everything else builds on. But it is the floor, not the ceiling, and the ceiling is 3 times higher than 49%. This is where the title of this video becomes science. Exercise type 2 is high-intensity interval training. 20 to 30 seconds of maximum effort, followed by 60 to 90 seconds of recovery. 6 to 8 rounds, 20 minutes total. Here is what that does to your ATP. Zone 2 draws it down gradually. HIIT crashes it. Each burst depletes ATP so rapidly that the AMP to ATP ratio spikes faster than your cells have time to compensate. AMPK does not activate gradually. It surges, and that surge is not proportional to the effort you see on the outside. It is exponential at the molecular level. Researchers measure the LC32 to LC31 ratio in skeletal muscle at 3 hours after a single HIIT session. The result, 162.4%. Above baseline, Zone 2 delivered 49, HIIT in 20 minutes delivered 162. That is 3.3 times more autophagy activation in 1/3 of the time. But here is what the researchers were not expecting. The signal did not peak during the session, it kept rising after you stopped. 3 hours post-exercise, autophagy markers were still climbing. Your cells were still running the cleanup, long after the workout ended. And then the second signal, one that changes how we understand exercise biology entirely. Lactate, the molecule your muscles produce when they work anaerobically. The burn, the accumulation, the thing you feel at the end of a hard interval. For decades, it was called a waste product, a byproduct of intensity that your body had to clear. A study published in Nature in 2024 confirmed otherwise. Lactate directly induces autophagy in skeletal muscle, not as a side effect, as a dedicated signaling molecule. The burn is not your enemy, it is the signal. We are now past type 2. Zone 2 gave you a reliable foundation. HIIT gave you 3 times the activation in a fraction of the time, plus a post-exercise window that keeps running for hours, plus a second signal that food cannot replicate. But type 3 operates on a mechanism so different from both that the longevity community has been debating it for years. It activates mTOR. And in 30 seconds, I will show you exactly why that is not the problem most people think it is. Let us address the belief that has been circulating in the longevity community for the last several years. Resistance training activates mTOR. mTOR suppresses autophagy. Therefore, resistance training works against autophagy. The logic is clean. The conclusion is incomplete. Here is what that argument is missing. mTOR does not activate during resistance exercise, it activates after, and in the window between when you start lifting. And when mTOR finally rises, autophagy runs, specifically, deliberately, in the exact tissue that is under mechanical stress. During resistance exercise, ULK1 gets phosphorylated through a separate pathway, independent of the AMPK signal we covered in Zone 2 and HIIT. Mechanical stress on the muscle fiber directly activates ULK1. Damaged myofibrils, misfolded proteins, cellular debris that has accumulated inside the muscle cell. All of it gets cleared during the exercise window, before enter rises, before synthesis begins. The sequence is the mechanism: autophagy first, build second. Your body clears the old material before it lays the new foundation, and then, after the session ends, NTOR activates, protein synthesis begins. But now it is building on cleared ground, not on top of debris. This sequencing has a consequence that directly affects everyone in this audience over the age of 35. Sarcopenia, the progressive loss of muscle mass, that begins in your 30s, accelerates through your 50s, and becomes one of the most significant drivers of physical decline in later life. A confirmed study showed this. Chronic resistance training activates the AKT/FOXO3 alpha pathway in aging muscle tissue. That pathway drives autophagy activation, specifically inside muscle cells. Apoptosis decreases, muscle cell survival increases. Sarcopenia is suppressed. Exercise-induced autophagy through resistance training is the only confirmed biological intervention that reverses age-related muscle loss at the cellular level. Not a supplement, not a drug, a loaded barbell. One practical note: fasted resistance training creates the widest autophagy window. When you lift in a fasted state, the energy stress from fasting and the mechanical stress of resistance activate ULK1 from two directions simultaneously before enter has any reason to rise. The three exercise types each generate autophagy through a different signal, but none of them work in isolation the way they work when combined. And the reason for that has to do with what your muscles are releasing into your bloodstream right now, while you are barely even thinking about it. Everything we have covered so far treats your muscles as engines, machines that consume fuel, generate force, and activate autophagy locally in the tissue that is working. That picture is accurate, but it is incomplete, because your muscles are not just engines. They are endocrine organs. When muscle fibers contract, they do not just generate force. They synthesize and release a class of signaling proteins directly into your bloodstream. These proteins have a name, myokines, and they do not stay in the muscle, they travel. The most studied of these myokines is called irisin. Irisin is released in significant quantities during HIIT and in smaller amounts during any sustained exercise. Once in the bloodstream, it crosses the blood-brain barrier directly, and inside the brain, irisin activates a longevity protein called SIRT1, the same SIRT1 that resveratrol from our autophagy foods video was working to activate through your diet. Exercise delivers it through your bloodstream, directly to your neurons, triggering autophagic flux in brain tissue that is not moving at all. Your muscles are cleaning your brain while you work out. And then there's lactate, the same molecule we identified as an autophagy signal inside working muscle. In the bloodstream, it travels to your liver, your heart, your tissues that are resting, and activates AMPK in those organs independently. Autophagy initiating in organs that are not doing a single rep. Think of it this way: when you exercise, you are not just cleaning the district where the work is happening. You are dispatching signals to every district in the city simultaneously. 20 minutes of HIIT does not just renovate your muscle. It sends the renovation crew to your brain, your liver, your heart, all at once, which means the optimal protocol is not about choosing which tissue to clean. It is about stacking all three exercise types to maximize how many signals you dispatch and how long they keep running. 3 types, 3 mechanisms, 3 signals, each one hitting a biological target the other cannot reach. Here is how to stack them. Layer 1, Zone 2, every day, 20 to 30 minutes. Walking, cycling, or light jogging at 60 to 70% of your maximum heart rate. Morning preferred before your first meal. So fasting AMPK and exercise AMPK combine into a single stronger signal. This is not the dramatic layer. This is the layer that keeps the system primed between the sessions that are. Layer 2, HIIT to 2-3 times per week, 20 minutes, 6 to 8 intervals. Maximum effort bursts of 20 to 30 seconds, followed by 90 seconds of recovery. Not every day. Your cells need the post-exercise autophagy window to complete its full 3-hour cycle before the next session begins. Daily HIIT interrupts that window to 2-3 times per week, maximizes it. Layer 3, resistance training. 2 to 3 times per week, 45 to 60 minutes. Compound movements preferred: squats, deadlifts, rows, presses. Fasted if possible to open the widest ULK1 window. Before enter has reason to rise. Now, the sequence that changes everything. When you combine HIIT and resistance in the same session, HIIT first, resistance second. HIIT opens the autophagy window. Resistance extends it, adding the mechanical ULK1 signal on top of the AMPK signal already running. MTO only rises after both are complete. Autophagy runs through the entire combined session, then synthesis begins. And this is where the 3 videos in this series converge into one system. Morning, Zone 2 fasted walk. AMPK baseline active, 2 to 3 times per week. HIIT plus resistance, 160% autophagy activation, plus sarcopenia suppression, plus irisin dispatched to your brain. Evening, spermidine from aged cheese, or wheat germ with dinner. EP300 inhibition, running overnight. Sleep, temperature at 18 to 20 degrees. Screens off 60 minutes before bed. BMAL1 clock synchronized, autophagy window locked open. Exercise opens the window, food keeps it running. Sleep completes the cycle. 3 videos, 1 protocol, and it starts with 20 minutes. And a decision you can make before tomorrow morning. This week, just this week, replace 1 steady cardio session with 20 minutes of HIIT. That single swap gives your cells 3 times the autophagy signal for 1/3 of the time. If this is the week you start building your exercise autophagy protocol, comment autophagy exercise below. Then click the videos on your screen for the complete system, the foods and the sleep protocol that run alongside every session. 20 minutes, that is where